morning. Good morning. And so here we are once again. We have been, as you know, and what's probably on the screen back there, projected, working with our new vision, mission, and core values. And last week we looked at abundance, which was the first core value, and these are as a result of the wonderful workshop that you did with Reverend Monica Driscoll when she was here at the end of January. So these, my friends, are ours. This is our DNA, as we have said we wish to be, here and now. And you will see these on the front of the bulletin until I think we're ready to move on. So I'm asking that you look at those bulletins when you come in each week. I know that most of you do, but really take a look at the vision, mission, and the core values that you have said represent who we are. And the core value that we're going to talk about this morning is inclusiveness. Now, you will see on that core value, it says acceptance/inclusiveness. I'm going to stay with inclusiveness. I think inclusiveness is a step beyond acceptance. When we accept something, it's as though we've received it. It's something that we do probably in our left brains mostly. If someone makes you an offer and you accept, say it's a car or a contract on a house, there's a give and take there. Something is offered and something is received. With the word inclusiveness, I think of that, and I'm going to be using much of work from the Bible as well as Walter Starkey's It's All God, which is out of print now, I'm sorry to say. Inclusiveness is a matter of spirit. It's a matter of God. And when we say we are inclusive, what that word to me is, and to Reverend Starkey, is a synonym for the word God. Inclusiveness means to embrace. It means to go the extra mile, to truly embrace and not just accept. And one of the best stories or parables that I know of in the Bible is that of the Good Samaritan. And it comes from Luke chapter 10. And it is a parable, a teaching that Jesus gave to the scribes and the lawyers in the temple. One of them, he gave many parables. He also gave it on the road, when he was on the road, shall I call it, when he was, as I like to say, one of us circuit riders who goes from church to church and place to place. And it's a beautiful parable. It's one that I'm going to bring to you just this morning in kind of a different way when we're talking about inclusiveness. But let me read to you. Okay, here we are. I've got Mary and Martha here. I don't want Mary and Martha right now. This is a story of the lawyers questioning Jesus about the meaning of the parable. And here's what Jesus said to him. What do you read there? And he answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. We all are very familiar with this passage. And then Jesus said, that is the right answer. Do this, and you will live. Now the lawyer wasn't giving up at that point. So he says to Jesus, wanting to justify himself, and who is my neighbor, Jesus? And Jesus replied, and this is the parable. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho and fell into the hands of robbers, who stripped him, beat him, and went away, leaving him half dead. Now by chance, a priest was going down the road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So likewise, a Levite is another, like a deacon in a church. So these are men of the cloth, so to speak. So likewise, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw the man, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, while traveling, came near him, and when he saw him, he was moved with pity. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, having poured oil and wine on them. Then he put him on his own animal, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii, gave them to the innkeeper, and said, "Take care of him, and when I come back, I will repay you whatever more you have to spend." "Which of these men," said Jesus, "do you think was the neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of the robbers?" And he said, that's the lawyer, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus said to him, "Go and do likewise." That is a prime example of inclusiveness, of going the extra mile. He didn't just bandage up the wounds. He went ahead and put the man on his donkey, took him into the inn, paid for his healing, and then said, "If there's any more I owe you to the innkeeper, I'll pay you when I return." Do you see the embrace, the extra mile in that parable? That's what inclusive is. And so when we use words like inclusiveness as part of our core value, I'm bringing this home to you because inclusiveness is a word that sometimes we all really don't know what it means. We know intellectually, we can look it up in the dictionary, but I'd like you to ask yourself, do you practice inclusiveness? Inclusiveness, as I said, is a spiritual matter. And it's very important, especially now. Reverend Starkey likens it to a form of revolution when you say you are inclusive. Especially in a world today where we have what appears to be so many different feuding nations, territories. We also have a world that's exploding in a communications area, you all know that, where borders are coming down, walls are coming down. We are saying we are inclusive. It just doesn't mean we accept the other guy. It means we have said we will embrace the other fellow or woman. And how will we do that? We will do the embracing by looking for common ground, by looking for the diversity and finding in the diversity that common ground. What are the cultural differences that are not different, that are common to us? What is it that we can put into and work with together in our inclusivity? You see, when we're not inclusive, you all know this, what's the opposite? We exclude. And when we exclude, we end up being, I believe, lonely, because when we exclude, we cut ourselves off from our wholeness. We cut ourselves off from the God of our being. And walls, of this walls exclude. They either keep people in or they keep people out. Take a look at your own life before we start fixing the world, which is so easy and tempting for all of us, especially with a word like inclusiveness. Are you inclusive with your own life? And here's the question I challenge you to wrestle with this week. Do you accept all the parts of who you are? We have been taught by some of the best teachers over time that we should not integrate or care for or even like fear or doubt or anger. Those are bad. No, my friends, that is part of who we are. That is all, because if we believe God is in all, God is in the anger, in the doubt, in the fear. God is in all. God is not the anger and the doubt and the fear. That is our humanity. And I'm asking you to take a look at embracing your own humanity, all of those parts, and take those feelings of anger, of doubt, and use them to learn from them. Why are you angry? Why are you in doubt? Ask yourselves those questions. And then replace the anger and the doubt with a feeling of, I am a child of God. I am whole. I am well. I am perfect. It is a challenge, I grant you. This is not easy. It sounds simplistic. When you're in the moment of doubting yourself or you're angry and you've got your hands on your hips, the thought of replacing the anger with, I am a child of God, takes some work. It takes practice. It takes a commitment to understanding You are an expression of the divine. What it also says when we say we're inclusive and we accept those parts of ourselves that we've been told to dislike, it's in the accepting, in the inclusiveness, in the embrace of using what those things are that we don't like about ourselves to fuel and replace with a positive affirmation of I am a child of God. That's the power. That's where you take what was doubt and fear and anger and you use it. And when you use it, you heal yourself and it removes itself from your consciousness. And if you don't take the time to do that, guess what? You're going to have the same situation show up over and over and over because there's been no healing, because there's been resistance. I don't want to be angry. I don't want people to say that I'm an angry person. Nobody wants to be angry. But the fact of the matter is we all get angry. We all have doubts. We all get anxious. And I'm asking you, if you're going to adopt the core value of inclusiveness, to use that embrace of God that is within you to embrace the parts of yourself. And when you do that, when you accept and embrace, you are saying, I'm healed. You have a healing that takes place. And that doubt and that fear and that anger on that particular subject will go away because it has not been resisted, it has been replaced. You have said, I will not go there with anger and doubt and fear any longer. I will declare I am a child of God. And that, my friends, is a healing. And that, my friends, is when we truly do embrace and say inclusiveness. So, I entitled the talk this morning, The Necessity of Inclusiveness, because I do believe in our world and the way that we are evolving, both spiritually and as human beings, inclusiveness is a major, major spiritual principle. And I wanted you to understand from that level this core value that you have chosen as a community and the power in that if you truly utilize an understanding of what it means to be inclusive. So when we start with ourselves, accepting the parts of ourselves, we understand that God is infinite. God is good in all things. God looks at each and all of us, in each and all of us, with no judgment. There is no judgment. And that's where I want to talk a little bit about, instead of trying to get rid and exclude some disturbing human feelings, let's honor our wholeness by including them in order to see what they're telling us. It's all God. Nothing happens by accident. Our feelings are signals, and it is a mistake to ignore them until their purposes are revealed. Once revealed, their energies can be redirected if they turn out to be inappropriate. Resist not evil, Jesus said, rather than eliminate, replace. You know the old expression, what you resist persists. And again, over and over, we continue to resist, resist, resist. And what this information is saying that I'm giving to you now is try not to resist, but rather replace. Put something of a higher level of consciousness where doubt, fear, and anxiousness may reside. That's being inclusive. That's embracing all the parts of yourself. Starkey says, as long as anything or any condition is present in our lives, it includes a purpose. Let me read that again. As long as anything or any condition is present in our lives, it includes a purpose. Something to be revealed through it. Something that would make us become more fully conscious beings if we can hear what they're telling us. If something is included in our awareness, good or bad, again, that's an exclusive word, I grant you, good or bad, it has information, and it will most likely stay with us or repeat itself until we include it in inclusiveness and discover its purpose. Now, put that on, take that on. Through the week, say, what is it? What's the purpose of this? Why is this here in my life? And why is that person here in my life? Talk to yourself. Include yourself. Embrace yourself as you move through life. The other part of inclusiveness is forgiveness. And we know that forgiveness is not necessarily for us, but there's a benefit. And the benefit is when we forgive, we release, and we allow the greatness of God to flow in and through us at a greater rate, in a greater awareness. So when we forgive, it opens up and it heals. There's a release in that. When we hold on, and these are pretty strong words, he says, what we hold on to is exclusive, and it excludes, and it makes us lonely. So look at what you're holding on to. Are you holding on to an old belief, an old habit? Are you holding on to another person? And are you asking that person to fulfill your needs, to satisfy your needs? Because in that very act, you are doing what Walter Starkey says, cutting yourself off from your wholeness. So when you hold on, take a look at what you're holding on to. At the very fact you're holding on, and ask yourself, what is it I'm holding on to? And oh, by the way, why? And think then, maybe if I can forgive, I can release. And where we do that most is in judgment. When we have judgments and projections about other people. Take a look at the judgments that you might have. And yes, you may sit and stand righteous in that judgment. Go for it and be lonely and cut yourself off from the wholeness of God. There is no judgment in God. God is all. God is. Some people like to say God is love. Just drop the love even and say God is. God is infinite and God is good, and that is our first principle. So if you have infinite and you have good, why not be inclusive? Because you are infinite and you are good as an expression of God, our second principle. I want to talk just lastly about inclusive love, which is the kind of love that Jesus taught us. An inclusive love is, it comes after a time when we all knew, I knew anyway, love was limited. You loved your family first, maybe God first, then you loved your family, and then you loved your country. That's a limiting kind of love. There is exclusiveness in that. Now, Jesus is asking us, and has been for thousands of years, practice what he calls agape love. We love all. You love all. You love all. You do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And you would do unto others as you would do unto yourself. Love yourself. Love the all. You remember when Jesus was asked about his own family, his mother and his brother, he explained what agape love is. He spoke of the family subjectively, rather than in terms of the old objective family. He said, who is my mother, and who are my brethren? Whosoever shall do the will of my Father which is in heaven, the same is my brother, and the same is my sister, and the same is my mother. Meaning his family was universal. He told his followers, by this shall all men know that you are my disciples, if ye have love one to another. So, agape love. Are we loving each other one to another? It's an interesting question. Or are we clouding that love with judgments because we think we know better, or we think we know something about that person that they might not even know? I know something about you because I've observed your behavior on a given time. That is exclusive. There's nothing whole about that. There's nothing one about that. Inclusive is agape love. You love it all. I'm not saying, for those of you that may have trouble with this concept, loving behaviors. I am saying you love the Christ in all, in everyone, especially in yourself. And then I want to just touch on what Starkey calls holy relationships. He asks that we make what we call special relationships, namely marriage, make them holy. Don't make the person that you're married to or in partnership with, and this can be a friendship too, responsible for the fulfillment of your needs. They're not. Look to the God in them and know that the God in them is responsible to fill all needs. That is agape love right in your own household. Look at the God in each other. That is the agape of love. So, I close with even the title of his book as he says, in the future, when we understand how we relate to others inclusively, we will no longer expect our needs to be fulfilled by people, but by the God in or as those people. Then guilt will be laid to rest, understanding shared by our partners, and exclusive codependency will be a thing of the past. It's all God. It's all God.